We met through a mutual friend. He was dating my best friend at the time. Well, she's still my best friend, but he was dating her. And I remember the first time that I hung out with him is he took Erica and I to Wiener Schnitzels, and he got himself 6 mini corn dogs and decided to eat them in front of us all by himself. And I'm like thinking, I was like, this guy is a jerk. I was like, I cannot believe that you're dating him, Erica. And he eats all the corn dogs by himself, and the last one, he's like, hey, would you guys like some? And we're like, yeah. And he's like, okay, and so he like goes to feed it to us. And then he shoves it in his mouth real fast, and I'm like, seriously, this guy is a jerk. I'm like, I never, ever, I can't stand him. So that's the first time we met, and then it just, he and Erica actually broke up, and we didn't talk again until we went to high school. And once we got into high school, we had several classes together, and I'm just like, oh man, I have several classes with this jerk. I can't, I'm like, what am I gonna do? But we actually, him and Erica started dating again, and I actually started dating his friend, Aaron. And he just ended up becoming my best friend, and things fell out with Aaron and Erica, and Derek and I just started dating from there, so yeah.
It was a funny story. She was actually dating my best friend, and I was dating her best friend. And initially we hated each other. It was a crazy story. Just one day at a football game, she was walking up the hill towards us to meet with me and my friend and her friend. And I was dating her best friend, like I said, and it was just crazy when I seen her. I don't know what it was. I just had some crazy connection towards Jennika. I thought she was beautiful. I don't know, it just hit me. And later that night, we just went to a friend's, and like I said, I just kept looking at her all day and all night, and she just kept striking me, and I don't know what it was, but it just kept taking me over. And long story short, after a while, I mean 2 or 3 weeks of just seeing her every day at school and in class, I just couldn't take it anymore, so I had to tell my best friend that I was going to basically take his girlfriend. He was okay with it, and here we are 6 years later.
I knew that Derek was the one. I would say, gosh, maybe a year after we were dating, I was like, okay, I could spend the rest of my life with this guy. There were times that I was unsure, but I knew he was the one. I guess you just know when you know, so.
Well, when we first met, we were 15. Of course, when you're 15 and 16, you think right then and there they're the one. And I thought that right off the bat, but it was more like a puppy love stage. I thought it was meant to be all that fun stuff. And I'd say down in St. George, we lived there for 3 years. I think right before we moved back to Salt Lake, about 8 months before we moved back to Salt Lake, when we were talking about the wedding and talking about getting married and all that fun stuff, that's when it really hit me, really struck me. I said, okay, this is the one, I'm going through with this.
My favorite thing, and it's memory of Derek, is probably when we were 16. We had very first started dating, and his aunt gave him this Oldsmobile for his birthday. It's this old car. And Derek just thought he was fearless when he was 16, and he took me and my friend Erica up to Little Cottonwood Canyon, was it? Little Cottonwood Canyon. And he just thought that he was just so cool and could do whatever. And he's driving his car and he's like swerving off the road and pretending that he's like a bad A, and he like turns off to this car and like goes through the dirt, and there's this huge ditch, and we go like flying face first, like car head on into this ditch. And it's like 10 o'clock at night, so it's like nighttime and we can't see. And he expects Erica and I to get out of the car and help him push the car out of the ditch. And I just think that's one of my funniest memories, and that's basically how our relationship has been the whole 6 years we've been together. He's just crazy, spontaneous, it's a never dull moment. So,
it's awesome.
Yeah,
We
pretty
have
much.
company.
We do.
Yeah. Oh geez, fondest memory of Jennika. So many. But the one that pops up the most would have to be, I'd say, 2 or 3 years ago on Christmas. Our favorite country singer is Brad Paisley. So what I did was I got us concert tickets, and I always like to put little stuff like that in the big boxes. And so what I did is I took my father's weed eater box, so you know it's 6 feet tall, and I put the tickets in an envelope, put it in the box, and I threw a bunch of magazines in that box to make it heavy. And so I remember coming over to her house on Christmas and carrying that in, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, what is that?" And so, you know, that morning goes on and she opens it, and I just remember she's just like, the look on her face, she's just like, "Oh my gosh, what is this? Oh my gosh." And then the magazines fall out and she's like, "Okay, what is this?" And then she finds the envelope and she discovers it's Brad Paisley concert tickets, and she just freaked out. It was awesome. The look on her face was just, it was awesome. She started bawling. It was awesome. I loved it. That was probably one of my favorite moments.
Derek proposed. He proposed to me on December 2nd.
Me and a couple friends down in St. George were planning to go down there. We were gonna have it all set up through this, it's a little rock garden, rock maze thing, and then, you know, have a fancy dinner set up and whatnot. So I went to a Utah State football game, and I told Jennika I was going to that. And right after that, I was planning to go down to St. George to go buy her ring. And so I told Jennika I just went to Idaho with my friends to help him. She fell for it. So we went down to St. George. I purchased the ring.
And I knew that he had gone to St. George, and he had tried to tell me that he wasn't going, but I found out that he went. And we were going to St. George the following weekend, and I knew that he had got my ring and something had come up, so he had to make a switcheroo and do something different.
So then I knew she was on to me. I couldn't come up with this St. George plan anymore. I didn't want her to expect it. She already knew I got the ring. So I got a hold of the officiate at our wedding, and we had a meeting, luckily, that next week.
And they have like this big, huge waterfall that you can hike up to, and after our meeting with our wedding coordinator, he's like, "Jen, let's go look at the waterfall." The coordinator was like, "You guys need to go look at the waterfall." So we went up there and we hiked clear up to the top. And
when we got walk up to the waterfall, of course, that's when the nerves started hitting in. And I mean, it's like a 40-foot waterfall. So we walked all the way up there and we get to the very, very top. And this was in December. So it was kind of cold, and Jennika's always cold anyway.
So like I start walking off because I'm so cold, and he's like, wait, and like comes running after me, and he's like, puts his arm around me, and he's like, "You know, Jen, talking about all this wedding stuff is getting me really excited, and I can't wait to marry you and things." And I'm just like, "Oh, okay, like that's nice." And he gets down on one knee and he's like, "Jennika, will you marry me?" And I was just in shock. I'm like,
she took forever to say yes. She didn't think I was serious.
He was like, Jen, are you gonna answer me? And I'm like, yes, 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 I'll marry you. So
It was awesome. She was way happy.
She's, I want a piece of chocolate. Take me to a movie. She's, I can't find a
Fantastic house, fantastic fifth wheel, great kids. Just to be happy. Both of us successful, great family, great kids.
good marriage, happy,
marriage.
still this in love,
Yeah,
hopefully more. Yeah,
just a great,
happy life together.
amen.
I think for me, it's how much I know that he loves me. And even though he does ridiculously stupid things sometimes, that he does love me more than anything in this world. And I think, I know I will never ever forget that. So I think even if we are arguing and he seems like he's so angry at me at the time, that I know that he loves me and that I'm his everything. So that will be for me.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same for me. I mean, we've argued before, of course, it happens to everybody, and it just, no matter how angry we have been at each other, it's just always, it's gone and over with the next day or in a couple hours, and we're just both happy again, and it's just the connection we have between each other is just, we can't stay mad, so it's like you were saying, we know we love each other, I know I love you, and eventually whatever we're arguing about or upset about, it's going to be over with. Get back to loving each other.
Yep.